What drew you to Black Panther?
It was just fun to see someone, I know it's gonna sound a little cliche, that looked like me. You know, I loved Spider-Man, I loved Captain America, I loved Wolverine, but when you saw Black Panther up there and the fact that he could stand toe-to-toe with these guys, and the fact that Iron Man had his suit, but you know, if he stepped up to Black Panther, he still had to fight. That's what drew me to him. Besides, he was just the coolest brother around, too. It was just kind of that outfit was dope.
It was cool to see a black superhero that wasn't just a sidekick. And secondly, it was cool to see a black superhero that was king of a nation, and also a black superhero who was just as smart as Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark. It wasn't like it was just this black superhero from the ghetto who happened to land in Africa and become crowned a king because he was from the hood. He had powerful, human, royal characteristics, and that was shocking for a little kid living in Hollis, Queens, New York, to see a superhero that was a leader.
When I first started doing the Black Panther in 1973, they were doing reprint books on jungle action that were the most racist things in the world. And I was the proofreader. When I first went there, I was proofreading these reprint books, and I said, I can't believe that you guys are printing this stuff in 1973. I was given the book and told later, they gave me the Black Panther because Jungle Books didn't sell. Joe Kubert had tried it, had done Tarzan for DC, and it died. And so they said, then we'll give it to Don, and we'll give him Killraven, because science fiction doesn't sell either. And then we'll tell him we have given him a chance, and he's failed. And thank God for you folks out there, because they didn't. You people wrote so much, and they got so pissed off that I was getting so much mail on these books. You know, and so it was like there was a justification for going through all of the fire that you had to go through.
To be honest, you know, I loved the Black Panther as a kid, and I only saw him in costume, and I was mildly disappointed to find out he wasn't Mexican. No joke. He peeled back the mask, and I'm like, all right. But I think it speaks volumes about how you know, anybody who wasn't white was looking for a character they could see the reflection in comic books. And you know, I found something very appealing about this guy he had no superpowers at all. But as everyone said before, he was just smarter and better than the next guy, and he had the coolest costume in comics.
And Panther was a superhero, and he was a king. And you know, some would argue he's not even quite a superhero. He's more of a king or whatever. The very fact that debate exists was an immediate attraction. You know, and the opportunity to play with a character, with that sort of tension, at his heart right there, and B, venture off into this imaginary world where, just as a side note, all the people are black. I mean, who could want more than that? I mean, that was it. That was it. I retired, leave my job. The Atlantic called me up. We got a problem now. You know what I mean? You writing Black Panther. I said, this was it. This was all I wanted, man.
When I first started doing Panther's Rage, the only instructions I was given is that it was a jungle book. They wanted it set in Wakanda. Now, when we start doing the characters, and it's an all-black cast of characters, they gave me so much grief over, where's the white people, Don? Where's the white people? I said, well, according to your mythology, they're somewhere in the outside world. And then they kept telling me they wanted the Avengers in there. Because I said, I don't want white people coming in to help the Black Panther. The black guy doesn't need it. As we went along with the series, I thought, okay, I started to do the Ku Klux Klan material. I got called into the offices, and the editors going, you can't do this, Don. He said, for 2.5 years, you people have been bugging me for white people.
Talk about Panther's significance in the here and now, right? With all that's going on in the world, Black Lives Matter, the things that we all see in social media and on television, that breaks all of our hearts. What does he mean in this space now, you think?
There was nowhere to see, black heroes, when I was a kid, except comic books. And maybe I was like a deprived child. But comic books was like the refuge, actually. It was actually where I went. I said, okay, I can kind of see, something of myself. The sort of complexity, that Chris Claremont gave Storm after she lost her powers, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean, where was I going to go to see that? I mean, where was I? I wasn't going to go nowhere to see that. You know what I mean? So I think, the context of it is really, really, important. That is not, to contradict anything that anybody has said on this panel at all, But I have to say part of my attraction, to Marvel Comics was there was at least some representation. There was, an entryway to come in.
Being on Broadway, I find that it's an escapism for fans. So like there's crazy things happening in the world, but you can go into a theater and escape it for about 2 hours. There are crazy things happening in the world, and you can go up to, since it's right around the corner from me, I can go up to Midtown Comics and pick up a comics and just like, I'm not gonna watch the news. I am just gonna focus on what is happening in the Marvel Universe, and everything is perfect here, even though the world's about to end. I know they'll fix it by the last page, and and sometimes when you get that escapism, it's like when you look on the news and you see things happening to brothers and sisters or females. I mean, you look at the presidential election and people talking about fat shaming, all that kind of stuff. But you look in the comic books and you see someone who looks like you, and this person is fighting the system and winning. There's a part of you that says, even though the system in real life is bad, maybe if I model myself after this person, it'll get better. So when you see Black Panther step up to situations, you go, all right, cool. Now, tomorrow, I know I'm not gonna slap a cop, but I'm gonna walk tall like Black Panther and not get in a situation and speak like a Wakandan king. And he goes, where you going? I am going to my job, sir. That's what I'm doing. You speak, it's an escapism, and that escapism kind of gives you the power in your real life to do something different. I remember when I go to Toys R Us and you see those Black Panther outfits for Halloween, you go, there's some kids who are gonna dress up like Black Panther. My mama had to make me a Black Panther costume. You can buy one now. So I think it's an escapism that kind of helps you go, I can deal with it. I just need a place to go for just a minute just to get away from the craziness.
Yeah. So if Black Panther was introduced in 1966, why did it take so long for other characters of color to come to the universe?
Now we're seeing younger generations who are not hung up on black or white or gay or straight or whatever like that. They just don't do that anymore. And that's why we're seeing, and now we're recognizing there's money to be had in it, but hopefully we'll move past some of these more result-oriented decisions and come out with characters that are just like Black Panther, who was constructed from the ground up to be a fundamentally unique character.
I decided that in Wakanda, to do like the royal family as being extremely dark complected. I mean, like so black they're blue, And my attitude was, so because the royal family is dark, then the darker you are, the more you're considered royal. So that's a thing, kind of playing against the opposite. And I thought of this, and I kind of went. I was just like, okay, well this seems really cool, and
That makes me feel bad.
we're about the same degree of royalty.
This is one of those surreal moments where I'm just a comic book Broadway nerd who is up here going, how the hell did I get here? And whenever I feel down, or even when I feel extremely happy, I go out and get a comic book and I'm like, that's the world I'm gonna kick it in for a little while before I have to go into the Disney world.
I want to write a letter to 16-year-old Brian and tell him who I'd be hanging out with today, and tell him that you guys are going to be here, and it would absolutely blow his mind on so many levels, that we're talking about this diversity, that we're talking about this character, that I'm actually working for Marvel. I mean, it's kind of, I'm actually in a position today where I actually have to come up with new dreams because I'm like knocking them down left and right. So.